Hi, I'm Jeff McKenna.
Ashley Smith, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ashley. May I take a look at your resume?
Please.
So tell me a little bit, Ashley, why you decided to go into teaching. Why did you choose education as your career?
It started when I was a student. I had teachers who really believed in me, gave me that extra push, and I believe that all students should receive that. In addition to that, if you look at national and international research, it shows that our students of today are going to be the prominent leaders of tomorrow, and I have to be a part of it.
That's awesome. So as you're thinking about those kids that need a good role model, that need a counselor, that need a cheerleader, and that need you to be their teacher, what are some of the things that you're going to do in your classroom to ensure that all of your students are successful?
I believe it starts with parents. Having a great relationship with parents. Who knows their child better? They raised them. After that, obviously I want to be someone that they feel they can approach, they can talk to. Build a rapport with my students outside of the classroom. In my student teaching experience, I had an opportunity to plan an outing just on a weekend. They didn't have to see me in a classroom. They just saw me as a regular person. I allowed them to call me Miss Ashley. We had a wonderful time. Parents were also invited. It was a great time for the parents to get to know each other, get to know me, get to know the other students that was going to be in the classroom. So I do believe that giving that extra push starts with having relationships with parents.
Awesome. So when you're in your classroom and your kids are actively engaged and you're doing some informal assessment, what are you going to do when you realize that kids aren't getting it? When you're realizing that some kids are struggling and other kids are doing pretty well on the concept and able to move on, how do you handle that situation?
Well, that situation will make my job a lot easier to differentiate instruction. It will be easy to see how to create my small flexible groups, my homogeneous groups, as well as my heterogeneous groups. So I will be glad to have students who can show me obviously that they're not getting it. Now in the classroom, it's not going to be that easy and cut and dry to see who's getting it and who's not. Right. But in the situation that you described, I think that would be an awesome way to figure out who should be in my small groups.
Have you ever had a lesson that you planned out very thoroughly and had all of the components in place and in theory it looked really, really well and it bombed? And if you haven't, you soon will. All of teachers go through that. Master teachers, we all put things together that sound good, but when it comes time to actually implement them, there are some things that come up unexpectedly. If you haven't had that experience, and you do, or if you had, how do you deal with that throughout your instructional class period? How do you deal with those things that might not go right?
I think that begins with great preparation. If you go into a lesson and it begins to fail or bomb and it doesn't seem like it's going in the right direction, if you did your studying, and you really prepared yourself for the lesson, oh God, I hope this doesn't take points away, but wing it. I know what I'm teaching. I know the objective. I know the content standards that I'm trying to address. So in all honesty, I have had a lesson happen like that, probably about 2 or 3 toward the beginning of my student teaching experience. So it is a little hard to wing it when you're a new teacher. I realized that, but I was prepared. I came in knowing what I wanted to do, knowing the standards that I wanted to address, so it made it really easy to kind of fall back into the pattern of what I was doing.
If I were to walk into your classroom on any given day, generally tell me what would be going on. What would you be doing? Typically, what would the kids be doing?
I think you would definitely notice that it's the students' classroom. I like to act as facilitator. A lot of my lessons are inquiry-based, where I like to ask questions. I don't like to give answers. You will see a lot of small grouping, as I really do believe in cooperative small groups. Everyone has different roles that switches depending on what I'm teaching. Also, you will see me in a small group situation doing small flexible grouping as far as math assessments. That goes back to differentiating instruction. While other students are at centers or doing independent work, okay, well, my students who I noticed that was struggling during my informal assessment, as you mentioned earlier, those are going to be the children who you'll see with me. You'll definitely see a lot of posters, lots of reminders, word walls, because I believe in resourcefulness. As I taught 2nd grade in my student teaching experience, 8-year-olds have a hard time remembering things.
That's for
sure.
So
it's really nice to have reminders on the wall. If they forgot how to multiply, okay, I have exactly what multiplication means on the wall.
Well, I'm very impressed with all of the different activities you've been involved in and all the volunteering that you've done. From this wide range of things that you've done, what's 1 or 2 of these things that probably have helped supplement what you have done at your university and what you have learned through student teaching?
I was involved in a program called Host Mentoring, and that exposed me to a lot of different types of reading strategies. It was a program basically to help underprivileged or underserved students bridge the gap. They were saying that research shows that there is a huge gap between poverty-stricken students and those who are affluent. And so I guess my job was to kind of bring it to a median, or catch them up to where they should be. So I was exposed to a lot of different methods. I absolutely loved it.
Excellent. What's one thing that you probably learned the most as you were going through student teaching that's going to make you a better classroom teacher?
To take risks.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to go against the norm. Do what research shows. If you analyze the data and you follow the trends, keep abreast with great educators, great educational reformers like Margarita Rosa or Frederick Hess, the greats like those, follow what they're doing, because what they're doing is obviously working. I think that's what I'll be able to bring to a classroom.
Excellent. Well, one of the things that's important to our building principles is classroom management. When you're designing your classroom management framework, what are some of the non-negotiables that you're going to have in place?
Zero tolerance for violence.
Okay.
Zero tolerance for name calling or putting another child down. But honestly, when I do my rules, I like the students to come up with the rules. Obviously, I go in with a list that I would like for them to have. And I typically find that they just use the rules that they had in previous years, and it's great because I get to say it was their idea, they created it. So when the rules are broken or they have a consequence, well, it's a consequence that they agreed upon.
Excellent.
So it makes it our classroom rules instead of just my rules.
Well, you're very impressive, and one of the things that we're very fortunate to have is a lot of applicants. But always just having a lot of applicants doesn't really mean you're going to get a great candidate. So when we're looking at our candidates, what's going to set you apart from the other people that we're going to interview later today and that we're going to interview the rest of this week?
I think the thing that will set me apart is I know that this school district has recently won the National Broad Prize. That says you're the best. I want to be the best. There was no question about what school district I would be applying to. So I think that makes the difference. I came in here knowing that I was coming into a stellar school district, and I know I can meet that standard.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, and I appreciate that you've done your research. The most important thing that you can do now is, if you haven't already done so, complete your online application. What we typically do at this point is get your information to our system, and then I'm definitely going to pass your name along to our campuses, and campuses will call you. They'll have you come out for a campus interview, and at a campus interview, you'll probably initially sit down with a building principal or assistant principal, and then move on maybe to a group of teachers out there, because their information and their feedback is critical to us finding the right piece of the puzzle that we need for our campuses. So I thank you so much for your interest in our school district, and I appreciate all of your enthusiasm and your interest in our school district. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks.